captains will curse our flag. And kings will fear it.
Hey gamers, welcome back to Square One Games. My name is Exonovic. I'm here to show you how to get the Unlock a Pirate's Life for me, as well as 100% sync in Sequence 3. Now during the first memory, you're going to have to do two optional objectives here. One is to shoot an iguana. The second one is to air assassinate an ocelot. Typically the iguanas like to hang out on the coastline. There are some in the middle of the island, but most of them are on the coastline. So what I did, as soon as I reached the shore, like as soon as I got out of the water, they were just there, and I just shot them. Now you can use your eagle vision as well if you need to, kind of pinpoint where they are, but there's kind of an abundance of those, so you shouldn't have any problem finding those. Now the ocelots are a bit different because if you get too close, obviously they're going to run away. I'm showing you the tree that I got in right here, which is where I got both my kills. They tend to have a pattern that flows around this tree. And you can air assassinate from pretty far away, so they don't even really have to be close to you in order to do that. But if you get in this particular tree that I'm showing you right now, you should be good to go. As soon as you're done killing the iguana and the ocelot, just head back to your ship, and that's going to finish out memory number 1. You're going to get 80% for completing the mission, 10% for shooting the iguana, and 10% for your air assassination. And that's going to be enough to give you 100%. Okay, so let's talk about memory number 2. It's called Now Hiring, and there's going to be 2 optional objectives here. One is to disarm and kill 3 guards. The other one is to shoot the rope to save the pirate. Now I'm showing you here on screen the 3 times that I actually disarmed and killed guards, and I'm slowing down the footage just so you can see what's kind of happening here. What I'm doing is I'm making sure that I'm switching to being unarmed. You don't want to already be carrying a sword or already to be carrying your blades and that sort of thing. Just make sure that you're on your fist. And then you want to go up to an enemy when it swings at you. You're going to see that red icon show up over its head. Hit B, right? Hit your counter button, and that's going to cause you to hit them a couple times while you disable them from whatever weapon they're using. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be carrying that weapon at that point, and then all you have to do is just kill them now that they're unarmed.
Strong so.
Once you've completed that optional objective, then just go around and start freeing up all the pirates. Again, the icons are going to be on your map. They look kind of like an eagle. This is a circle with like an eagle. That's the icon that shows up on your map. Just go ahead and free all the pirates, and then you're going to be given the task of shooting the rope to save the last pirate.
Captain Kenway, come fast! There's soldiers of Captain Man in irons. They mean to hang him.
Now what I like to do is when the lady says, hey, you're going to have to save the pirate, I just like to go to those bushes like directly in front of where you are when she talks to you. And what you can actually do is you can shoot the rope from there. Just make sure that the reticle glows red when you're on it to make sure that your shot is accurate. Once you free the pirate, then just go up there and just kill all the enemies and the captain, and then make sure that you rescue that pirate, and then just go back and meet up with your guys at the bar. And that's going to be enough to finish that memory. Again, you're going to get 80% for completing the mission, 10% for disarming and killing the guards, and 10% for shooting the rope, giving you 100%. So on to prizes and plunder, which is memory number 3. Alright, so the first optional objective you have here is to kill 3 sailors using a swivel. So you're going to want to find a boat, you're going to want to destroy it enough to where it's on fire. You don't want to hit it too many times because it'll sink, but once it's on fire you can kind of ease up to it, hold down your B button, and you'll actually start to board that ship. Now while you're in the process of boarding, you just want to move to the back of your ship. There's going to be a swivel cannon there. Just go ahead and pop off some rounds and make sure that you kill 3 sailors in the process. Now the next thing you're going to have to do is plunder 20 rum. Very simple process. Again, you can use your spyglass to kind of see ships off in the distance. A lot of times you're going to be up against 2 or 3 ships at a time. So finding the rum is really not going to be an issue. I actually found rum on the very first ship that I boarded. So it's pretty abundant. Again, you're going to have to incapacitate the boat, board it, and then take its cargo. Now once you've done that, go ahead and sail to the Salt Key, and you want to buy yourself an intermediate hull. Okay, and after the hull of your ship is upgraded, you're going to be finishing out this particular memory. Again, you're going to get 80% for completing the mission, 10% for killing the 3 guards with a swivel cannon, and your last 10% is obviously coming from plundering the 20 rum, giving you 100% sync. Okay, so now you're going to be on to memory number 4, raise the black flag. You're going to have to plunder 30 sugar Pretty much the same thing that you've always done, you know, incapacitate a ship, board it, take its cargo. Make sure that you use your spyglass in order to look at the ships first so you can tell what kind of cargo they have on them. You know, just zoom in using your left thumbstick just to make sure that it actually has the sugar on it before you waste the time of, you know, taking it out and boarding it. Now, in the process of going after your sugar, you also want to be destroying as many ships as you possibly can because you want a hunter ship to come out. And the only way that the hunter ships come out is if you destroy a lot of other ships. You basically have to get out there in the open seas and just wreak a lot of havoc. And eventually you'll see the two swords show up, like an icon show up on the screen. That's the hunter ship. It has like red sails, if that helps you out. And that lets you know that a hunter ship is actually coming for you. Now, depending on how you feel about the naval combat in this game, you may want to upgrade your ship a little bit before you take on a hunter, just to ensure that you can take it down, you know, with ease. I personally did not upgrade my ship any at all, and I know that I was pretty much almost at death before I was able to take it out. Like, my health was all the way at the bottom. Now, if you haven't upgraded your ship, a pretty cool little strategy is to find like a really small island and kind of put it in between you and the, you know, and the hunter ship, and then just kind of keep going in a circle. And what that's going to do is it's going to keep the hunter ship from ramming you. And you can also drop your powder kegs from behind your ship just in case it tries to come up from behind you. You can also blow those up using your swivel cannon, which will hurt it as well. But if you can put an island in between you and that ship, it's very easy to take out, especially if the hunter ship is facing you dead on like it is right now on the screen, because it really can't do anything to you. It can only really fire cannons from the left and the right of the ship. So you're basically just putting yourself at a huge advantage when you put something in between you and that ship. And obviously once you have it crippled, just go ahead and sail over to it, board it like you normally do, and take its cargo, and you'll be good to go. Okay, and once again, you're going to get 80% for completing the mission, 10% for getting the sugar, and another 10% for plundering the hunter ship. Okay, so now you're going to be on the memory number 5, sugarcane and its yields, and you're going to have to tell this captain. Now what I like to do is stay in between him and the coastline, kind of where those bushes are, and that's usually enough for me to get through this entire area without being seen. If you are seen, don't worry about it. Just make sure that you don't get attacked. But like if he sees you for whatever reason, just hop inside some bushes and he'll kind of just go away. You have a little bit of leeway here in terms of how stealthy you need to be. Like you can see right there, I just ran right up in front of him and he turned around and he actually was like 3 feet from me, and I just got in some bushes, and then, you know, he lost me again. So there's no real need to be super stealthy here, but it does help. Now as you get closer to the ship, you're going to find out that there's going to be a guard kind of on your right hand side there. Just go ahead and kill him and then sneak to the other bushes, and eventually it's going to tell you to go back to the jackdaw. Now all you got to do is just go straight down where you see me going on the screen. That's going to be your fastest route back to the ship, and then just go ahead and board. Now the next thing you're going to have to do is follow the ship. My suggestion for you here is to keep looking at your mini-map. Your mini-map is going to tell you exactly what you need to do. If you see one of those yellow, green type cone areas, you just want to stay out of those, obviously, because you're going to be seen if you're in those. Because remember, you're obviously not trying to get into any kind of combat here. That is part of your optional objective. And then the game itself is going to tell you how close you are from the target and how far away you are from the target. It'll show up like a little prompt. So if you're getting too far away, it's going to say, hey, you need to go ahead and, get a little bit closer to it because you're about to desynchronize. If it says something like, hey, you're getting too close to the ship, then obviously you want to hit B and back off. So between speeding up and slowing down and watching your mini-map and staying out of the, the green yellow type cones there, you should get through this fairly easily. Now when you get to the island, you're going to be given a time limit in order to reach the eavesdrop point. I like to go ahead and take the left hand side of the island, just kind of hug the coastline and just go from bush to bush until you get to the eavesdrop location. Now once you get here, there's going to be a huge circle, which is obviously where the eavesdrop is taking place. You have to stay inside of that circle, and you have to actually follow those two guys all the way up to the bell. Now I find that the best way to do this is to stay like kind of on the border of the audio line at the back. So you always want to stay behind the people, and then the audio line needs to be right behind you, and you kind of just keep going up with the audio line. And as you get closer to the bell, you can kind of just stay in that center area and you'll never fall out of the eavesdrop. Now eventually he's going to have a conversation with the guard that's standing by the bell, and then he's going to walk off toward where all the cargo is. Just continue to follow him until it tells you that you need to steal the captain's key. Now before you go up and take the key, what I like to do is go ahead and go up to this guard tower and take this dude out, because this guy can see everything. If you don't kill that guard, it's very easy for him to see you as you try to disarm that first bell. So just make sure you take him out first. Okay, so now let's go ahead and sabotage these two bells. So the first one is going to be kind of right in front of the guard tower to the left. All you have to do is just walk up behind it and hit B, and that's going to be enough to sabotage it. Now in order to find the second bell, just make sure that you find where the cargo is and the bell is kind of right behind it. You know, just use your bushes going from cover to cover. You know, take out enemies as you need to using the whistle technique. And then when you have when you have the bell there and there's no enemies around it, just walk up to it and hit B, and that's going to be your second bell. So the last thing you have to do is just get the key. You can do this stealthy if you want to via pickpocket, or you can just get into a battle with the guy, kill him, and then loot his body, whichever way you prefer. Okay, so now that you have the key, just make it over to where the cargo is, open that up, and your crew's going to come in and loot the place. Alright, and once you finish out the memory, you're going to get credit, 80% obviously for completing the memory, 10% for sabotaging both bells, and the other 10% for remaining out of combat. Alright, so let's talk about memory number 6. It's called proper defenses. You have to use the broadside to sink 2 boats. You also have to use heavy shot to sink 2 ships. Okay, so the first thing you need to take into consideration here is if you've bought the heavy shot or not. Now, if you haven't bought the heavy shot yet, go into the cabin of your ship, look on the right hand side, there's going to be a model of your ship there. Just go up to it, interact with it, and then make sure that you buy the heavy shot. Okay, so after you've done that, go ahead and sail to these coordinates, 864698. Every time I've practiced this, that's always where the ship is. So just set a custom way marker there, and then just continue to go in that direction, and eventually you'll be able to see the ship. You can also use your spyglass as well to locate it. So once you found it, it's going to ask you to basically tail it for a long time. My suggestion for you here is to stay as close to the back of that ship as you can. You're going to notice that if you get on the right or the left of that ship, it has a huge search radius. So just get right up behind it, and then all the other ships that are kind of like looking for you as well, it's going to be tight in there, but they're never going to really notice you. Just stay as close to that vessel as you possibly can, and you should be fine. Now you're going to follow this ship for quite some time, and eventually it's going to be attacked. Now after that ship destroys all the other boats or whatever, it's going to start firing mortars at you. Now what you're going to need to do is go as fast as you can and get right behind that ship. Basically like bumper to bumper, if you will. And the reason why you want to do that is because it can't fire mortars behind itself. It can only fire mortars like to the right and to the left. So you're going to be completely invincible right here. It can never really hurt you. You just want to keep doing that until all the other boats come out. Now here's where things get really tricky, especially if you're not familiar with the naval combat for this game. Your 2 objectives are going to come into play here. Let's go ahead and talk about the first one. Use heavy shot to sink 2 ships. Now in order to successfully do a heavy shot, you're simply going to hit RT and not aim. So you know you have those cannons on the right and left hand side of your boat, and you know you have to position your camera angle so that you're looking down the side of your boat or whatever. You just don't want to hit aim. You don't want to hit LT. You just want to hit RT. You're going to know that you're shooting a heavy shot because the cannonballs are going to have flames behind them, like they're going to be on fire. And you can't really aim them, like I said, so you just want to, let ships get really close to you and then just hit RT. Just spam the RT trigger. Your goal is to sink 2 ships this way, and you'll get credit for that objective. Now for the second objective, which is use the broadside to sink 2 boats, that is when you're using the same cannons, but now you're holding down LT while you're aiming and you're hitting RT. You're going to know that you're doing the right thing here because you're going to see that arc. That kind of white arc that shows up. So that's just a regular cannon, and that's what they're considering like a broadside attack. Now in order to really be successful with this particular objective, what you're going to need to do first is damage the ships. What I find is that if I aim down using LT and then hit RT, and I get a barrage of cannonballs over there on one of the ships, then you're going to see that Y target show up, right, where you can hit them one time. If you hit them one time, typically they're weak enough at that point that if you do another broadside attack, they'll go down. Now keep in mind that I hadn't upgraded my ship at this point, so if you have upgraded your ship, then what may happen is that you may just be killing these boats like in one hit. You see what I mean? But I actually had to kind of weaken them first. So based on what you've done in your game, you'll have to kind of determine that for yourself. And really after that, the trick is just making sure that you can get 2 boats to line up. So you just have to make sure that both of the boats are in your white arc, and then you want to hit RT. And as long as the cannons that come out take down both boats, you'll be able to accomplish that objective. Now the last thing I wanted to cover here is I think there's a total of maybe 8 ships that you're fighting right here. If at any point you feel like that the fight is getting away from you and maybe you're not able to complete the objectives, do not take out the last ship. If you do that, you're going to basically complete the memory, and then the only way to get back to this spot is to replay the entire memory from the island, from way back there. You know, you're going to have to tell the ship again, find the ship again, all that stuff. What you really want to do is if you get down to the last ship, you haven't met the objectives, restart your checkpoint. That's going to start you off right there again, and you can just keep trying it over and over and over again until you're able to get it. Because there is a bit of luck factor here, because the ships do have to line up for you so you can kill 2 at once. So you may not get it on your first time out, but I did want to throw that in there as part of your strategy. Okay, and once that's all done, the memory should be complete. You're going to get 80% for completing proper defenses. You're going to get 10% for sinking 2 boats with the broadside cannon. You're going to get 10% for sinking 2 ships with the heavy shot. And once again, you have your 100%. Alright, so let's talk about memory number 7. It's called a single madman. This is a very linear memory until maybe when you get to the end, because there's a couple routes you can take. I'm going to show you the route that I like. But these earlier sections here are just very linear. Remember, your optional objective here is to stay out of combat. So as you're maneuvering through, the jungle or whatever, just make sure that you're avoiding all the enemies. The way that you do that, like if you encounter an enemy on a path, just simply get into the bushes and go ahead and use your whistle technique. Remember, you can kill people, you just can't get into a combat situation. So just use all the bushes to your advantage and you should be fine getting through the very first part of this particular level. Now the second part can be a little bit tricky. What you want to do is you want to just stay in the bushes. There's going to be a hut kind of in front of the guard that's up in that tree. You want to get right behind that hut. And then when he goes around the back side of that tree, you want to climb the hut, jump on the 2 poles on your left, and then jump onto his little perch or whatever. And then go ahead and take him out. Once he's down, the rest of this little area can play out pretty standard. Use your bushes, use your air assassinations, use your whistle technique. You should be able to get past the 4 enemies that are here. Now when you get to the third area, what you want to do is take a left. There's only really 1 enemy that you have to pay attention to here. Normally you can just get into the bushes and then kind of just spring out on him and take him out real quick. Even if he's facing you, you can take him out real quick before he quote unquote notices you. And then you just want to just maneuver around the entire left hand side of the map, kind of hugging that cliff that's to your left until you get to the coastline. Now all you need to do is just get into the water. Do make sure that you swim under the water though, because there is a guy walking on the dock to your right and he can spot you. You just want to make your way to the back side of the ship. Now once you get here, you just want to maneuver yourself to the side of the ship, kind of at the back of the ship as well. I'm showing you on screen right now exactly where you need to be at. Now in order to identify your target, make sure that you hit your left trigger so you can see him glow in gold, but he's typically going to always be walking around with 1 or 2 other guys. Now remember, your mission objective here is to air assassinate him. So what's going to happen is he's going to be walking around the ship kind of like in a rectangular form, right? And all you're going to do is just wait there, and when he comes around the corner, you just want to hop out real quick and go ahead and hit your X button really fast. And what that's going to allow you to do is go ahead and air assassinate him. That's going to be enough to complete this memory and also earn you the unlock, A Pirate's Life from Me, which is obviously earned for completing the entirety of Sequence 3. So now you should have Sequence 3 completed 100%. I will see you guys in Sequence 4. You guys be good.